Good afternoon. Hello. Okay, so I'm hoping to get a clear couple of hours. I've got book club this evening, so I can't run too late, and there is a possibility of surprise visitors and or the dog wanting dinner. So we're going to deal with what we need to deal with. We've spent all morning making candles. Actually, it's been a fun morning. Very, very smelly. We've made lots of different scented candles, and after a little bit, all of the scents blend into one. So while I let my head calm back down after all that smell, we're gonna go and see if we can get a little bit further in Phoenix Wright. Okay, so let me grab the game. There we go. Awesome. Okay, let's go in. Okay. So we were talking to Edgeworth. I think we finished talking to him. So let's go to... I think we needed to go... somewhere over here. We need to talk to the... what's her name? The manager. The woman. AA. What was her name? Adrian Andrews? Was it? Oh, Miss Andrews is here. Well, that's good to know, Pearl. That's what I wanted. But it looks like she's talking with someone. That's Franziska von Karma. Miss von Karma, what are you doing here? Well, you see, I'm his lawyer, so you've got some nerve following me around. Following you? That's you, Miss von Karma. You're the one doing the following. Pearls. You're always following after that Mr. Detective with the little beard. Me? Following after Scruffy? Don't make me laugh. Let me show you something interesting, little girl. Oh. Interesting. What is that? An electromagnetic receiver. I planted a tracking device on that detective. And with this, I know that fool's every move. So that's the noise we heard. It was this receiver. I feel really sorry for poor Detective Gumshoe now. Now then, let's stop wasting time. Adrian Andrews? Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? All right. What were those two talking about? Miss Andrews? She seems a little dazed, doesn't she? Will she talk to me? Probably not. Go away, Xbox. Should we ask her about her affair, maybe? Or her client? We'll start here. I asked to become Mr. Engarde's manager. He's a pleasure to manage with his nice disposition. Mr. Engarde does seem like a rather weak-willed man, always doing as he's told. He's always saying, my manager, right, Mr. Nick? Yep, okay. Does that give me any more? No. Do we have enough to start breaking the locks, do we think? What do we have? We have... Okay, what do we have? We have her suicide note. We have the suicide itself. I mean, that's interesting, I guess. What about... Okay. Okay, so we've got those two things. Should we try those? Okay, let's present the Magatama first. How many locks was it? Was it 4 with her? Okay. Motive for murder. Why was Juan Corrido murdered? If you ask me, I think you know the reason he was killed. Why are you hiding things? Don't you realise you're putting Mr. Engarde's life in danger by your actions? Why do you ask questions for which I have no answers? The truth is, I was not that close to Mr. Corrido. You were not that close. That's right. I've never been good at being intimate with another person. You're not good at being intimate with another person. Somehow I highly doubt that. Okay, so let's throw this in her face. You and Mr. Corrido had an intimate relationship, did you not? A silly, third-rate tabloid article. If you even had half your wits about you, you wouldn't believe such rubbish. Well, it seems quite a few people have already bought into this story. As to be expected in a world filled with crooks and liars. Okay, note to self, stay on her good side. In any case, I despise interpersonal relationships like that. I see. However, what if there was a need for you to get close to someone? Me? Need to get close to Mr. Corrido, as if there was ever such a need. Didn't you get close to Mr. Corrido for this person's sake? Maybe this? Do you really still not understand? What? Oh, maybe I should have... It's not in my nature to enjoy doing things for others. But you're a manager. It's called a job. I'm in charge of Mr. Engarde, the star. Nah, not Matt Engarde, the man. Oh. And you are not my client. Okay, so maybe I should present the profile instead. Celeste impacts your mentor. How do you know about Celeste? Oh, there goes one. Miss Impacts, she committed suicide, didn't she? But it looks like no one knows why. Right before her death, she was Juan Corrido's manager. So I believe you got close to Mr. Corrido so you could find out more about her suicide. You have a great imagination. You may have a future yet as a slimy muckraker for putrid third-rate tabloids. Miss Andrews. There was no mystery surrounding her death. None. It would be pointless for me to force myself into a relationship for nothing. Is that really true? Was there really no mystery at all? I don't believe you were completely at ease with the way her suicide was resolved. Yeah, because of the suicide note. Ms. Impact's suicide note was never found, was it? It looks like the police were under the suspicion that someone had hidden it. Like maybe the person who discovered her body, Mr. Corrida. I mean, it would make sense that he took it, right? Let me just get my hood up. It's freezing. I'm not dealing well with this winter thing. Okay. One. And, Miss Andrews, I believe you thought the same thing. That is why you became intimate with Mr. Corrida. Okay, there goes another one. I've sat by quietly and listened to your insulting ramblings long enough. It's true that Celeste was my mentor. However, allow me to say this again. It had nothing to do with me. Didn't even know that her suicide note was never found. I'm a person who doesn't care about what goes on in the lives of others. That's the impression you like to give. However, I don't think that's who you really are. What? I have evidence that says otherwise. This is proof that Celeste Impacts was someone very special to you. Because she tried to commit suicide. Miss Andrews, you nearly went through with it too, didn't you? Went through with what? Ending your life. Miss Andrews, you look and act like a very strong woman who has it all together. You don't ask for anyone's help, relying only on yourself. Yes, I've been very independent ever since I can remember. However, that is all just a lie, a facade. You've always searched out people on whom you can depend on. You were dependent on Miss Impacts, weren't you? Which is why, when she passed away, you lost everything you had. Stop. When Celeste passed away so suddenly like that, I died a death of my own. But, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't stop thinking about what had become of her note. You must have heard about the police report. The one that said the police suspected Mr. Corrida of hiding Miss Impacts' note. You heard about it and thought to recover it from him by getting close. Am I right? If that's the case, then this changes everything. What do you mean? What topic did we start this conversation on again? It was why the victim was killed. Exactly. Somehow, Miss Andrews, it seems that you have become the one with a reason to want Mr. Corrida dead. Me? Miss Impacts was everything to you. And then she died. And you would do anything to figure out why she killed herself. Even commit murder. Murder? Okay, so we get to hear what she's got to say then, I guess. It's true. I am a woman who can only live in insecurity. I'm physically small, and I don't really have a lot of self-confidence. I've pushed against all that. No, I've tried to live strongly. I never wanted anyone to find out the truth. Miss Andrews, this one thing, it's the one thing I wanted to take with me to the grave. It was my secret, mine and mine alone. I'm sorry. You probably think I'm a worthless human being right now, don't you? Please, Miss Andrews, all I want to know is the truth. After Celeste passed away, I heard that someone had hidden her suicide note, and that someone was Juan Corrida. Celeste, without her, I became scared. Everyone seemed like they were out to get me. So you got close to Mr. Corrida to recover her suicide note, correct? Looks like that tabloid reported the truth after all. Ironic, isn't it? Well, like they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And if they purposefully add fuel to the fire, they keep the celebrity world burning. But as for the suicide note, I didn't and wouldn't kill anyone for it. It just doesn't suit me, that's all. Well, that's enough for now. I still have work to do, so I understand. Oh, I have one small favour to ask. My attempted suicide. I'd like for you to keep it a secret. Miss Andrews, if people found out about my weakness, I would sooner choose to die than live. All right, I understand. We'll keep it a secret. Miss Andrews, I guess she's the overthinking type. She probably never says anything without carefully thinking it through first. Thank you for your discretion. Mr. Nick, can I ask you something? What is it? Miss Andrews has been playing with that card in her hand since a little while back. That card? Yeah, I guess she has. Miss Andrews, what is that card you're holding? Huh? Oh, this? I don't quite know. It just suddenly appeared in my handbag. What is it? It looks like a seashell. That's what it looks like, doesn't it? I honestly don't remember owning this card. I wonder where I picked it up from. Her not remembering something clearly sounds like it would be a rare occurrence. Well, I must be off. I leave Mr. Ungard in your capable hands. Okay, so... Well, I think we've gathered about all we can. What about Mystic Maya? Is she all right? Oh, Pearls. She looks so worn out by all this. She hasn't slept at all and has been walking all over the place with me today. What's wrong, Mr. Nick? Let's go back to the office for a little while. You're really tired, right? Oh, no. I'm okay, really. I'm fine, I really am. You don't look fine to me. Okay, so we're going back to the office then, I guess. Okay. So, what now? Well, we did find one thing out for sure. Miss Andrews has a motive. You mean Miss Impax's suicide note? That's right. She was also the one to discover the victim's body. Clever. Oh no. Ah, Mr. Nick, the transceiver. Hello? Wright & Co. Law Offices? Mr. Attorney, you're not answering a phone. Maya, where's Maya? As I promised, I have not gone within a few feet of her this whole time. Phew. Which is why I suppose she's absolutely famished. What? So I suggest you win a quick acquittal, my friend. At any cost. Wouldn't you agree? Wait, Maya, let me hear her. Very well. Ask my... Maya, is that you? Sis, ask my sis. Maya, damn it, he cut me off. Mystic Maya said ask my sis, didn't she? Sis, what does she mean by that? Mia, you dumbass. Come on, Phoenix. You're a hopeless one. Sorry. Mia. I have a message from Maya, so come. Ask me anything you want about her. Okay. Is she okay? She's safe, for now. That kidnapper is one to keep his word, it seems. I'm glad to hear she's safe, but Mia, how did you know? As soon as she was locked up, Maya called for me. I read the note she left. Then I gathered as much information about her surroundings as I could. I didn't know you could use spirit channeling like that. Pretty smart of her. The kidnapper, what's he like? I don't know. Apparently, Maya went to answer a phone call at the hotel and was drugged there. And She didn't see the face of her attacker. Ugh. Maya is locked up in a very dark place right now. I'll tell you everything I heard when I was with her. When you were with her? Okay. I'm starving. I could really go for some apple pie. I mean, at a time like this, sweets are the only way to go. I have to stay positive. He promised he wasn't going to kill me. I'm not going to die. Sis, I wonder if you're with Nick right now. Okay, so can we examine then? Okay. Drat. It's locked. But this door's lock seems easy enough to open. On TV, the hero always uses a plastic card or a stiff piece of cardboard. Then click. They magically open the door. I wonder if there's a card like that around here I could use. Huh? Someone dropped a card here. It kind of looks like a business card, but there's no name on it. It's a picture of a seashell, I think. What a strange card. That's it, this shell card. If I use this, maybe I can get the door open. This might be my key out of here. I had a feeling this card might be useful. I'm such a genius. Alright. Now if you'll excuse me, Mr. Kidnapper. I did it. Okay. Now I'm getting the heck out of here. I shouldn't keep Nick waiting or worried. Oh. Okay. So let's save that. Oh, we're going straight into the trial. Well, this is bad because I've only got one day to do this. Okay, 9:47 a.m. Adrian did it? That's what it looks like. Dude, no way. That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there is someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer. Dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that. I understand. Well, it's almost time. Mia, we must get a complete acquittal today. I know, but I can't focus on Maya's situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Well, let's get going. It's him. Uh-oh. This is Wright. Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney. The day of the trial. Maya, she's unharmed, right? Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, how shall we say, tired. Don't worry, people don't die that easily. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. Ugh. For my sake, as well as yours, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning. Present? What in the world would you want to give me? You'll figure it out once the trial starts, and even if you don't like my gift, I expect you to graciously accept it and win the day's contest, if you please. Wait. The kidnapper sent me a present. Mr. Lawyer Dude, who was that? No one. It has nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer? Maybe. Very, very maybe. Okay. Where's the court is now in session for the trial of Matt on guard. Are the prosecution and the defence ready? The defence is ready, Your Honour. I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss Von Karma? I don't know, Your Honour. Why are you getting mad at me? Your Honour, please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it? Prosecutor Von Karma has... This morning... Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman. What? Shot? Well, what is happening? What is even happening right now? Did he shoot her? Who shot her? What is happening? We're so very confused. Okay. Somehow, I think this is the present man was talking about. Yeah, I mean... His present. Ms. Von Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she were to disappear, it would be to your advantage. This is totally insane. Ms. Von Karma, is she all right? I don't have that answer. She's alive and in stable condition. That's good. Phew. Your Honour, due to the circumstances, Miss Franziska Von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready, naturally. Well, hello, Edgeworth. Miss Von Karma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. Luckily, I have looked this case over and am familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Matt on guard. Okay, the court acknowledges the prosecution. Right. I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Poor Gumshoe. Witness, your name and occupation? My name's Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct. For now. For now? After this trial's over, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir. Detective Gumshoe. The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift your head up and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Gumshoe. Yes, sir. Now, let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight. Yeah. It would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. Okay, bare facts of the case. This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Carrida, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. Okay. After the awards ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room? Yes, sir. Both the victim and defendant went alone to their rooms, sir. I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Okay. Okay, let's start pressing. Okay, let's start here. The cause of death. Wasn't that because Mr. Carida was stabbed in the chest? Only a careless amateur would believe something so brainless as that, pal. Take a good, hard look at the crime photo. Now, a real pro's attention would be drawn here to this bandana. Banana? His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir. Ah, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana. Then what about the knife? It seems to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death. We have a crafty murderer on our hands here.
Motion detected at the visit.
Sorry, just checking. Our motion sensors are going off. It could be next door. Okay. Oh, it's chilly. Okay. So we've got the autopsy report. Strangled with a scarf, then stabbed with a knife. Okay. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. Isn't there? And why did you think that? Because it was empty, pal. The jamming ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar. And we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that? We thought of that too, but the only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims. Only the victims, huh? I see. So much for my theory then. Okay, so that's updated then. However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. Okay, but how? Or what convinced you it had nothing to do with the case? The guitar wasn't at the Gatewater Hotel that night. Well then, where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found. Found at the TV studio. The victim, Juan Carida, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir. So you mean he forgot to put his guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar. So that guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel. Yeah, that's right. So it really had nothing to do with the case after all. I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Then, after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why then did the police arrest Matt on guard? Because there was reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like Edgeworth's back in full swing. Very well, Detective Gumshoe. Please testify about this matter. Yes, sir. Okay. Why arrest On Guard? Matt On Guard and Juan Carina were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's a jamming ninja's button. It was ripped off the ninja costume and was found in Matt On Guard's hakama. The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. The defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder. So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out clearly, sir. Okay, the knife was added. And there's this button. That was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And this button also is covered in blood? Yes. And we know that the blood on it is the victim's blood, sir. What? Okay. All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it? Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honour. Ready to give in yet, right? I'll find the hole in your arguments somehow. You can press as hard as you'd like. Just hurry up with your usual pointless questions. Okay, what have we got? So, the knife had... Let's look at the knife. What have we had? It was ripped from his costume, covered in Carida's blood, bears the victim's blood and On Guard's fingerprints. In the grip, Gatewater is engraved. But Gumshoe said that he bought it. How could he possibly have bought it? That doesn't make any sense. It's got the words... Wait a second. What? So the basis of your argument is that this was a premeditated murder. It's simply that my client bought a knife beforehand? That's right, pal. The defendant did not buy this knife. Huh? Take a good look at the handle of this knife and you'll see what I'm talking about. Huh. It has a Gatewater seal set into the handle. Gatewater? I think I've heard that name somewhere before. That's the name of the hotel, the Gatewater Hotel. Uh-oh. The murder knife was actually property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated. Yes, that is very true. This is a very big... What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sorry, but the defence is simply too careless. What? I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is hotel property. There is no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough not to realise this. But I didn't know. The question is, where did this knife come from? Why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Carida's room. Sorry, Your Honour, but that is incorrect. The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the table. There is a knife and fork on the table. Then, where in the world did this knife come from? If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt On Guard. Oh, there's a knife missing, isn't there? Especially what was on top of his table. There is something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife. We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Matt Engard's knife was missing. Ugh. Mr. Engard had gone to the victim's room with the knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife on a visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder. Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction. It seems like Edgeworth had this planned from the very beginning. This must be one of those traps, and I just walked headlong into it. A murder weapon with fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. There is quite a sizable amount of evidence here. I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of Your Honour's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defence were to present evidence not yet shown to the court. Evidence not yet shown to the court. Interesting. He means evidence that the court hasn't yet seen. In other words, new evidence. What does the defence have to say about this, Mr. Wright? Well, Phoenix, the judge is favouring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here, that gavel of his will be ringing out to the sound of our defeat. Mr. Wright, do you have something important and necessary to present to this court? Maybe the wine glass? There's one piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see. Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I am giving you one chance, and only one. What the judge is saying, Wright, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here. If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us. You may now present one and only one piece of evidence. Okay, I'm going to save this, just in case I mess it up. One piece of evidence. I'm going to go with the wine glass, because look at that bar. It's blinking at me right in the eyes. What is this important evidence you must show to the court? This is a wine glass, is it not? Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because the victim struggled against his assailant. The vase is broken, his makeup is all over the floor. These were all things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser. Well, yes, I see your point. However, this glass that is sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over along with everything else is this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you all have to say? Well, yes, it is a little peculiar. Yes, isn't it? I thought it was. You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth? What is it, Your Honour? Your opinion? You don't need my opinion, because there is no special meaning to that glass. What? It's safe to say that the glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking. That does sound very plausible, Mr. Wright. Could Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? No. If I appear weak here, the trial is over. I can look for my proof later. For now, I should trust my instinct and point with certainty. They just might fall for it if you're thought-provoking enough. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews that set the cup on the table. You've turned the situation on its head again, as usual. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim? There's no way he has any. He's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? You're not thinking hard enough today, Wright. Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice? Then, of course, it has been thoroughly inspected for fingerprints. Fingerprints? There are only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass. Only one? Well, whose were they? They were not the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were of one Adrian Andrews. What? That is why I said that the person who had discovered the body left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright? Ugh. I can't believe I fell into another trap. Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Greeder. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set down the glass on the dresser. What you just said makes a lot of sense. Now, do you see, Wright? I can't change any part of my scenario as it explains everything too well. I've thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer I have come to discover. Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict. Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness? Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. Okay, what in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness, your name and occupation, please. Gotcha. I wonder what happened to that calm composure he had earlier. Oh, Edgy boy. It's been what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me. I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew that under that helmet it was the Wicked Witch of the witness stand? I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do. So today, I'm going to tell you anything and everything, even things that don't have to do with that terrible crime. Miss Witness, that terrible crime is all this court needs to know. Shush, I'm talking to my dear Edgy Wedgy right now. Don't interrupt us, Gramps. Yes, madam. No. Please, by all means, interrupt her. Please. Anyway, witness, your testimony, please. It's true what they say, that youth are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, Edgy. Now then, what should I start with? The witness was on security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Oldback? It was a great job being able to see my dearie Juan. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle. You mean you were a fan of the victim? Look, everyone is crazy over that on guard, saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me. I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man, Juan Corrida. But those two were the same age. Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of his room that night. Very well. Please tell the court what you witnessed at the night of the murder. Leave it to me, Edgy Poo. She's off her rocker. Okay, what she witnessed. Let's see what we're playing with. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. There was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. It was on guard, Matt on guard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room. Okay, so Mr. On Guard came out from the victim's room. See, it has to be him. He's the murderer. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Okay, so first things first. What did she want to find out? Something you were interested in, and just what was that? It's not some little thing I can go around telling everyone, you know. It's top secret between me and Juan. And Edgepoo, of course. Mr. Edgeworth, what is this thing she was interested in? I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honour. Gossip? But should it prove relevant, we can always have it appended to her testimony later. It looks like we shouldn't force it right now. And did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time? Okay. How could you tell it was Matt? You saw my client. Are you sure about that? Yesy. Really? Annoying brat. When I say I saw someone, I saw that person. Why do I get a sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a repeat of last year, I should delve into this a bit further. Okay, what were they wearing? Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail. What a troublesome man you are. Really, as if something like that matters. But it does. Now what was it? Oh yes, it was that thing. What thing? That gaudy thing he's always wearing. That racing jacket. He was wearing that at the detention centre too. That thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Men. Right. So, Mr. Wright, was his testimony just now important or relevant in any way? It was very important. He wasn't wearing his costume. Of course it was important, Your Honour. Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important. Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Your Honour, I request what the witness said about the jacket to be appended to her testimony. I don't quite see where you're going with this, but all right. Witness, please. Oh well, I don't like to badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must. He was wearing his flashy racing jacket. Honestly, it's all just for show. Okay, so if he was wearing that, then how did this happen to be in his... Ms. Oldbag? What? Don't say my name for no reason. Do you know what this is? It's button number 2 on the Jamming Ninja's costume. Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance. Give it here. Give it here. If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this. Well, she really is a die-hard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Ungard's body during a full body search. See? This button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it was that rascal Ungard. It was caught up in the pleats of his nickel samurai hakama pants. See? And Ungard is the nickel samurai. Witness. No, it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination. But just now, didn't you say that the defendant, Matt Ungard, was wearing his usual racing jacket? I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear. If I wore the trendiest dress, okay, instead she has... Okay, the outfit is hideous. It's heavy. She's working hard. Take a look at... Okay. Now, hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Ungard the man, but Mr. Ungard the nickel samurai. But when you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway. Ms. Oldberg, this is a very important point we're talking about. Edgy Poo, do you think so too? Well, it might be something worth considering. Just say it's important and agree with me for a change. Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify. All right, if you insist. I should be the one sighing, not you. On guard. Yes, now I remember. The nickel samurai, that's right. It was the nickel samurai I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know? So he must have worn that nickel samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan. Okay, but that's not even true, is it? I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume. Yeah, me too. Okay, I just need to go and get some extra layers, you guys. I'm absolutely frozzing. I will be back in a second. Hello, sorry, I'm back. I had to go and get more layers. It is absolutely freezing here. So, I just needed to get myself a little bit warmer. Okay, so back to the trial. Okay, so cross-examination. What? Did you think there could have been someone else inside that costume? Don't be a bad little boy thinking such rude things. But the possibility does exist. Ah, young uns today. I told you, there was no way it was anyone else. How do you know that? Because I said so, and what I say is the truth. At least she's just as delightful as a witness as she was a year ago. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Joy. Okay. Oh God. The Nickel Samurai. That's right. It was the Nickel Samurai that I saw. So you didn't actually see who was in. Be a little bit more careful with your testimony, please. Not too long ago, you said he was wearing his racing jacket, and now he's not? Not too long ago. Then let me ask you this. When you were itty-bitty, what was your grand dream? Huh? What did you want to be when you grew up, whippersnapper? My dream, huh? Well, I wanted to be Judge Wagner, hero of the public court. So what? See? And look at where you are now. You are not Judge Wagner, are you? Are you? Well, what I said earlier, who puts any weight into things like that? The now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past. Since when did court become theatrics over testimonies? All that matters is that man was inside that costume. Isn't that enough? Oh, I just got an achievement for that. Nice. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. Okay. He had to go to that post-ceremony. He didn't stab him. Maybe. Doesn't his costume have gloves? He wouldn't have left fingerprints. Please take a look at this. Yeah, so it's a knife. Big deal. If you're trying to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work. No, that's not my intention at all. That's the knife that was used in the murder, correct? Your Honour, do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case? You don't even have to ask. It's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it. Is that what you're driving at? That is exactly what I'm driving at. What are we driving at? And whose car are we driving? If Mr. On Guard was really in the Nickel Samurai costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. Actually, he would have wiped all previous fingerprints on this knife right off. Oh, that's right. The Nickel Samurai wears gloves, doesn't he? He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing. And why would he do something like that? To leave his prints on the murder weapon? There is no way he would do something like that. However, there is one possibility. Then let's hear your possibility. It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room while in costume as the Nickel Samurai. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. He was probably just going to relax and talk with the victim about the stage show, which is why he took his gloves off. But the murder still did take place. That doesn't make any sense because he took the knife from his room. Why would he take the knife from his room? It's well known that there was bad blood between the defendant and the victim. Yes, I've heard that before. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Edgeworth's theory? So let me get this straight. Edgeworth's theory goes like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intention of killing him. Now, up to this point, are there any problems with this theory? There is a contradiction. The knife. This theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. What are you babbling about? Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Angard was the killer. If that's the case, I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. It's the knife. This knife. This was used by Mr. Angard at dinner. Yes, we did establish that. Which means that if my client was in fact the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Corrida. I suppose. However, you just said it yourself. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. If that were true, then why would he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from supposition 1. Supposition. Okay. And one more thing. If the murderer was wearing the costume at the time of the murder, then there should be glove marks left on the knife, not fingerprints, which means the defendant's fingerprints shouldn't be all over it like bees on a hive. And that brings me to my final point. This knife was planted by the real killer to hide their identity and mislead us. Order, I say, order in the court. Was this knife really planted by the killer? Why would the murderer do such a thing? To frame Matt? It's all about being... It's to frame my client, Mr. Angard, of course. To frame... Aren't you forcing the interpretation just a little too hard on this one? But we just established that the witness saw the Nickel Samurai in costume. And if that were true, then there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife. Witness? Looks like I've made your life a tiny bit more difficult, huh, Edgy Poo? Witness, did you or did you not really see the Nickel Samurai? Well, I guess at first I might have forgotten, but... Are you saying you mixed up Mr. Angard with the Nickel Samurai, his character on TV? But I mean, I can't really do anything about that now. Look, I was waiting around in front of their doors because, well, I wasn't waiting around for the Nickel Samurai, that's for sure. She wasn't waiting for the Nickel Samurai. All right then, who were you waiting around for then? That's top secret to anyone outside of security. I have a feeling that you were waiting for Mr. Juan Corrida. Am I correct, witness? The way you think, you are a sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness. Amateur? Me? What am I an amateur of? So old bag was waiting around the front of the victim's room, but it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Corrida. Maybe, Phoenix, maybe the old bag was waiting around for that person. If it's who I think Mia is hinting at, it's certainly possible. Miss Oldbag, you were waiting for this person to come out of the victim's room, weren't you? Okay, were you waiting to catch them in an affair? Who is this person? This is Adrian Andrews, Mr. Unguard's manager. But why would the defendant's manager be in the victim's room? It seems that this is the latest rumour in circulation, Your Honour. Oh, this is... I see. The judge seems to be really into the article, if it can be called such a thing. Then this manager with the initials AA, are you saying it's Adrian Andrews? Without a doubt, the witness thought so as well. Looks like you found me out. Well, that's fine. I can throw this whole sworn to confidentiality stuff then. Witness, what in the world are you... Watch out, Phoenix. I've got a bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling. I got some information. Some very secret information from a certain source. So that's why I was doing my own little investigation. In secret, of course. But what for? Oh, just for myself. Personal reasons and all that. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, how will you proceed from here? I really don't want to do this. However, I cannot simply let this point slide. I see. Very well then, witness. Please testify about this secret information. Get ready. This is going to take the wind out of you young'uns. I'm sure we're all capable of handling this. Really, it's not like we're 10 years old. Okay, secrets. That vanguard is one evil, evil man. He thought he could ruin poor Juan by causing a huge scandal. So to do that, he sent his own manager to get in close with Juan. I cannot condone such dirty tricks, so I took action. Oh, and this is top secret. You got that? Nobody else but you and me know yet, okay? The defendant sent his manager. What a distasteful topic for this court. What? Nobody's above gossip. And isn't there a saying, the truth is never pleasant? Never heard that one before. Mr. Edgeworth, what about this Adrian Andrews person? We've looked into this matter and found that the truth the article proposes is in fact baseless gossip. But should this be true, then this proves that the defendant did bear ill will towards the victim. So this means I have to smash this room out once and for all. Now then, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Be careful, the old bag seems rather excited right now. That's right, on guard is nothing but your average foul-blooded youth. Well, as the old saying goes, you gotta burn all bags with fire. Time to fire up the afterburners and hit the highway to the danger zone. Okay, so how does she know this? That on guard is one evil man. He sent his manager. How do you know? Wait. What? I'm a busy woman. Tea time with the kids is over. Secret information that no one else knows yet. If that's true, then how do you know this secret information? Huh? Well, that's because I'm a pro. Yes, that's it. It's a secret. Even if you drilled a hole into my brain, you'll never find out. How in the world did that old bag get such a secret piece of information? Did she steal the camera? So no one else is supposed to know this secret information, correct? If that's true, then why do you know it, Miss Oldbag? What? Why are you looking at me like that? Stop that. Witness? I hate to say it, but this is how you came to acquire your secret info, isn't it? The investigative photographer, Lotta Hart. Oh yes, I remember that mischievous girl. She reported that she had lost a certain note she had written to herself. She reported such a thing. On that piece of paper, she had written down some of her impressions about the relationship between the victim and Miss Andrews. What outrageous ideas, you say? No. I said impressions. Then everything written on this piece of paper is completely meaningless. Ah, that's it. That's the note. No, you see, this is something completely different. This is my top secret list of groceries to buy. Then you are the one who took Miss Hart's note. I'm a huge fan of ones, that's why. That infamous puffy-haired whippersnapper. She's working with that evil on guard. She said to herself, on guard, I'm his sidekick. She was so happy, smiling like a silly duck. I was only checking what she had written. Edgy Poo, you believe me, don't you? I was only trying to help out like the angel I am. It's only one little piece of paper. I've never taken anything else before. You really should come with a supply of cheese to match your vintage wine. Well, it was only a piece of paper. I suppose we can overlook this just this once. She looks like she's really sorry. Should I forgive her? I still think she took the camera. If I let up on her now, she'll get away. I have to find some way to inflict a deafening blow to the prosecution. A witness? You said that the only thing you stole was that note. Is this correct? Stole? Why don't you listen more carefully, you annoying brat? I saved this piece of paper from the terrible lonely trash can. That's all. You're lying, damn it, and I can prove it. Are you putting my credibility under scrutiny again? Miss Oldbag, I don't believe that the note is the only thing you stole that night. The camera? She took the camera with it. Miss Oldbag, that note was with a camera inside its case, wasn't it? A camera? Yesterday, Lotta Hart was raising a huge stink over her camera. She kept saying something like, my sweetie $1,600 camera disappeared on me. Why, witness? What is it, Gramps? If you have the note, then it's only logical that you have the camera too. Ugh. Okay. Looks like you found me out again, Sonny. Is this the camera that you're looking for? That's... What? Even though I look like this, I'm still a person, you know. I still eat meals like you, I fall in love, and I borrow things from people. I think your definition of borrow is a little off. I saw that woman's business card, and that's when I noticed it said, Slimebag Celebrity Photographer Extraordinaire. Well, when I saw that, I had to know what sort of pictures she had taken. I'm a professional security guard. It's my business to know these things. Bailey, check this camera's photos. Hurry. We must examine them at once. Well, Miss Edgeworth, what do we have? There is only one photo that seems to be relevant to this case. Please present it to the court. Ooh, what do we have? Okay. This is the Nickel Samurai. See, I told you, that's the guy I saw. This proves that the witness was not lying earlier about this matter. I'm tired. What does all this mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This photo by itself does not prove that the person in it is the defendant. However, in his own confession, Mr. Ungard clearly stated that at the time of the murder, he was still in his Nickel Samurai costume. If that is the case, then this Nickel Samurai is the defendant. Oh? Is it though? I think this brings us to the end. We have examined every piece of evidence thoroughly. Final comments, Mr. Wright? The court will consider them before we close. Do you agree that this photo is decisive evidence against your client? If this photo really is decisive, then we're done for. But if I raise an objection here and blow it, then I will put Maya's life in jeopardy. I can't make a mistake here. There's only one road out of this mess. This photo that Lotta took, there's... well... we're going to have to say there's something strange. There's something strange with this photo. I knew this was coming, right? Your thoughts, Mr. Edgeworth? I think we can all agree that there is nothing strange with this photo. There's no way for the defence to debunk this photo, even with a bunker buster. Debunk with a bunker buster. Is that what you're planning to do, Mr. Wright? Anyway, please look at the photo one more time. If you really believe you can honestly find something wrong with this photo, then you should only need one chance, correct? Well, I have to find something wrong with this photo. I can't let this chance go by. Okay, I'm going to save. Oh, no, not that. I'm going to save just in case. Because if I mess it up, I'm going to be sad. Where in the heck did she take this photo from anyway? It's all out of focus. Why can't she take a good shot, especially when it counts? Now then, let's hear your objection. What about this photo is strange? Well, the pants are too long for a start. Maybe there. I would like to direct the court's attention to this one area right here. What are you pointing to? His ankles. If you can see this person's ankles, that would be one thing. However, you can't. And what does that mean? The costumed person in this photo could not have been Mr. Ungard. What is the meaning of this? I wonder if you would care to elaborate with actual facts, that is. Let's take a look at the Nickel Samurai's poster. Oh, you can see his feet. Please pay particular attention to the area around the bottom of the hakama. His socks. You can see his socks. Exactly. However, in this photo, the Nickel Samurai is clearly holding up his hakama just to walk. There's only one explanation for this. The person inside this costume is clearly much shorter than the defendant. All right, I think I've turned things around for myself this time. That's curious. What is? Edgeworth is unusually calm today. That's true. He's just letting the trial run itself, as if he's only along for the ride. Along for the ride? What do you mean by that? I can only guess that perhaps he doesn't feel under attack at all. He doesn't feel under attack, then I haven't damaged his case at all. Mr. Edgeworth, where does this leave us? If the person in this photo is not Matt on guard, then everything the prosecution has tried to prove has become meaningless. I figured it would come to this. What? Right, I have something I want to ask you. I think you have proven that the person inside this costume is not Matt on guard. In that case, who is this a photo of? Ooh, is it Andrews? Who is the person wearing the nickel samurai costume? Don't stress out over this, Phoenix. It's very simple. What you should be focused on is Edgeworth's attitude, don't you think? Yeah, why is he so calm? Mr. Wright, let's hear your thoughts. Who is the person in this photograph? Okay, I'm going to throw her under the bus. Adrian Andrews. If you want to know who that nickel samurai is, it's none other than this woman. And why would you say it must be Miss Andrews? What in the world points you to her? For starters, she's short, and she can freely move in and out of Mr. Ungard's room. Finally, she had dinner with Mr. Ungard that night. And how does that all add up? It means that it makes it very easy for her to get a certain item. A certain knife with Mr. Ungard's fingerprints all over it. The knife that was used as a murder weapon. Why don't you just say what it is you want, Wright? You have to do this now. This is my last chance to turn things around. The defence moves to indict Miss Adrian Andrews in the murder of Juan Corrida. It was Miss Andrews who tried to frame the defendant for the crime. Order, order, order. It looks like this trial has hit the most unexpected development. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honour. This court is issuing a subpoena for Miss Adrian Andrews. A verdict cannot be passed without first hearing her testimony. All right, this is it. This is kind of bad for us. Huh? What do you mean? But Adrian Andrews is summoned to court as a witness. It means that the trial will go on for another day. One more day? Oh no. Maya, if I don't get a verdict today, then Maya... Now then. We shall set Miss Andrews' testimony for tomorrow. What am I supposed to do? The judge is about to adjourn the court. Raise an objection. Now then. Please, Your Honour, continue the trial. You must pass a verdict today. I can't do that. We cannot hear Miss Andrews' testimony if she's not... I abhor wasting such valuable time. Edgeworth? Your Honour, I request that you please continue with today's trial. But we cannot continue due to this unexpected development. Unexpected development? I think you underestimate me, Your Honour. And what do you mean by that? That Mr. Phoenix Wright would slave his way to subpoenaing Miss Adrian Andrews is all. Happening according to plan. even if Wright was a bit slow to catch on. What? 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 What is the meaning of your statement, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Adrian Andrews is currently waiting in the prosecution's lobby. She is the next witness. Everything was planned out in advance by that man. Somehow, I knew there was no way Edgeworth would overlook Miss Andrews. It's like this battle is far from over. Exactly. Very well. We will call the next witness. However, before we proceed, we shall take a 10-minute recess. Please prepare your witness in that time, Mr. Edgeworth. The court will now take a 10-minute recess. Okay, we successfully made it through that part of the trial. Okay, let's save. And let's see if we can get this last little bit of trial done. And then we might be able to start the third game. Woohoo! Okay. Where are we? Objection indeed. Oh, dude. I can't believe that, Adrian. No way. Not cool and collected Adrian Andrews. She's your manager. It would have been very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was, well, her. So after the ceremony, during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. See, she could have easily also planted that blood-covered button in your Hakama. Because she was the one that came to wake me up. Interesting. Then, dude, you're saying it really was her? Yeah, she is the real killer. She's the one who murdered Juan Corrida. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial's over. It'll be all right. I'll get you acquitted by the end of today. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze. Okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude? Phoenix, you think her motive is related to Celeste Impax's missing suicide note, right? Yes. Miss Andrews depended on Miss Impax as her strength and reason to live. But then Miss Impax suddenly killed herself. It sounds like she left a suicide note, and the person thought to have hidden it is Juan Corrida, the victim of this murder. And that's why I think that Miss Andrews got close to Mr. Corrida, all to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible. But one thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Letter stated Miss Andrews' dependency issues with regards to Miss Impax. It was Edgeworth. He looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down yet. Okay. Let's get back in court. Okay. Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls a witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Corrida's room. What is your occupation? I am the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt Ongard. I see. Now then. Before we begin, Your Honour, I have one request. Yeah, sure. What is it? I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing and would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. No, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even heard of Gossipland. If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could tell us about your relation to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Corrida. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan. This was a private matter between Juan and myself. So it was a fry and bait matter, or was that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing. But I didn't kill him. No one is accusing you of that. Actually, I am. I am totally accusing her of that. I think there's someone who would beg to differ. I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well then, witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder had taken place. Okay, when I found the body. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room, and there was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was, naturally, the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. That doesn't seem like something you would do. You poured yourself a glass of juice and then put it immediately down. Yes, sadly. I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of a crime, and I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. And that is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honour. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Phoenix. She's one cool and collected customer, and she has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing. Disrupt her pacing? She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking. So you have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offence is the instant this trial is over. Understand? Okay. Okay. She went to get Matt from her room, and she went to his room, and then she found a dead body and she was in shock. You were in shock? What? Was I not supposed to be? Miss Andrews is a very calculating person, and despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Mr. Corrida. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock, and you can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with her being shocked or not. I see. What I saw was, naturally, the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. Did you, though? Juice? Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself. But you didn't drink any of it, did you? Huh? There were no lip marks left on this wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down without drinking it. Miss Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Corrida, you were in great shock, and that's when you poured yourself the glass of juice, correct? And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time. Your mind was a complete blank? I didn't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake. That one thing. What one thing? Never mind. It's no big deal. What was she starting to say just now? Keep going. What was it? Miss Andrews, I'm convinced that as she said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry, it's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. The flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo? This mess of glass shards. It was originally on top of the dresser, but when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry. I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, the people would simply assume the vase was just another part of the mess. It looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony. I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. I was the one... Okay, I don't believe this because... Where's the crime scene photo? Why did she open the case? The water was found on top. Can we present that? You testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is that correct? Yes. And are you sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem. It's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. However, if that were true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside. That's very true. Furthermore, there is one other strange thing about this guitar case. And what is that? Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor. And what is wrong with that? If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shards would be inside, not outside the case. What is your point, Wright? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all? No. Think back to what Ms. Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case. But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing on this case at all. That may very well be. However, the empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it? It seems that there is no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case? Yeah, why not? The empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this, but it is you. I can't believe I'm doing this either. All right, I'll follow along. For now, Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case. Yes, Your Honour. The guitar case. Okay, I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. Okay. Interesting. This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now, it's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using anyway to change the topic. A convenient escape for a weak man. Okay, so if she messed with the... I don't remember too clearly, she was a bit dazed. Okay, so it's only got Karida's fingerprints on it, so how did she leave fingerprints on the glass, but not the guitar case? Let's ask her about this. There's no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case are those of the victim. Okay, what is it, Miss Andrews? You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time? Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time? It was the night of the award ceremony, so of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime. That is strange, because she left fingerprints on the stupid glass. Ah, she's hard work. You were wearing gloves. Isn't that a little strange? Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time? Yes. I absolutely 100% do. I have your proof right here. This wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Ah. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? Okay. Order, order, order. Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. What do you mean? I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here. But it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty though. But the guitar, the bright red guitar, was at the studio. Phoenix, drop all of your presumptions. What if they transported something else in the guitar case and they had to leave the guitar behind? What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar. You don't mean it was a bright white guitar? Wait, that's not right either. Sometimes, Phoenix, you are dumb. I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So the witness was not wearing gloves, despite the fact that on the case... Your Honour, this is obviously the defence's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided... No, Your Honour. Please recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it is wide open in the photo of the crime scene. I am sure this guitar case has some relation to the murder. If you are so sure, Wright, then I am sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please, enlighten us as to why that guitar case has anything at all to do with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? Well, let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in that case. The bright red guitar not being the only thing. You don't mean to suggest that... oh dear. So, you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty, is that it, right? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that ahead of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside this case at the time of the murder? Okay, so she wasn't wearing gloves when she went into the room to commit the murder because she poured the juice. She's left her fingerprints behind, which means she wasn't wearing the nickel samurai costume when she went into the room. But she was wearing it on the way out. Maybe this. This is a photograph. Yes. But what is important is what is in that picture, Your Honour. In this picture, it doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is, inside the guitar case was the nickel samurai, the hero's very own costume. What? Miss Wright, explain yourself. Right, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct? You mean this photo? Order, order. It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Wait 1 second, Your Honour. Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Matangard's. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places. True, that is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this nickel samurai costume doing inside the guitar case? A spare costume? Mr. Ungard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we're talking about was a spare one. What? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 nickel samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Correct. Yes, that is what I'm saying. And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose. But why? The victim, Mr. Corrido, was the jamming ninja. Why would he secretly bring the nickel samurai's spare costume with him? Could be the reason behind such a peculiar act. And therein lies the sticking point. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Pretty much. No, I just... Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai's spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you. All right, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai's spare costume to the hotel was... Okay, what do we have? A glossy photo, a press conference ticket. Why, the Nickel Samurai was going to confess something after the post-ceremony stage show. Yet he doesn't remember ever doing or even talking about that. Was he going to pretend to be him? He didn't even know about this. What is this? On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes. The Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange is that Mr. Engard himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. But how can that be? The way I see it, that can mean only one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Carrera himself. The victim? Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Carrera was going to hold that press conference as the Nickel Samurai. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference. But why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Carrera, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt Engard. Yes, I guess that is what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure. Ms. Andrews, I can see why you are pros at what you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan. Okay. Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this. I was the one he had asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me. You? Juan had bet everything on the Jamming Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway. He was going to ruin him, huh? It looked like somehow Juan had his hands in a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What? And do you know what this secret of Mr. Engard's is, Miss Andrews? That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. Ah, I see. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone. But that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt after all. Protect Mr. Engard. And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could please tell us the truth about your behaviour? Yes, Your Honour, I understand. Okay, protecting Matt, what have we got? From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what, and he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt I had to protect him. Well, that doesn't make any sense. This does account for everything. Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She is more nervous than a scared rabbit. If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I am ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright. Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. Okay, protecting Matt from the moment it's interesting. Okay, let's just start pressing. Let's press in some places. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. Fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and the murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the jamming ninja's costume. You're talking about this button, correct? That button was found in the pleats of Matt's hackamore, isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. Ugh. Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. Okay, that button was torn off during his fight with Matt. No, it wasn't, because he was strangulated and then the stabby happened. No, I'm not having it. Time of death. Strangled with scarf. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. And what does that mean? Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly. Which means it's impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. That's right, Miss Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's dead body. Order. What is it? Okay. What is the meaning of this, right? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? Everything? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know this button was not torn off during the fight. So the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it? He wanted to pin it on Gardy? There's only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. Engard. There's no way anyone will put a bloody button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. Ungard was set up. By the real killer, of course. And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then? Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. Ungard, is... This woman. Her, right in front of us, Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you, Pokemon. You are Mr. Corrida's killer. What? Order, 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 Mr. Wright. This is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Any evidence? All the evidence. All the evidence points to Miss Andrews. What? How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. Ungard, naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only have been taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. She's got just like an everlasting supply of glasses right there. Then what about the button that was found in Matt's Hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. Ungard was the real killer, there's no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own Hakama. The only person who could have put this button onto Mr. Ungard's Hakama is the person who went to wake him up from his nap, which is you yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just such a costume inside the guitar case? It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at that time. That's right. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she'd touched that case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposefully left her fingerprints on the glass to show that yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. And to top it all off, there is this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on earth can believe that this nickel samurai is Mr. Ungard. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? But please stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time. Miss Andrews? I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me. Well, yes, you are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination by allowing a witness not to testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. Engarde's room, Adrian Andrews. Yes. Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? All right. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews not to testify if things looked bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done? Or what's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realise this as well, Your Honour, but everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to prove a single piece of definitive proof. Okay. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbour a wish to murder Mr. Corrida. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corrida? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? Maybe so, or maybe not. There is nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No, she's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? Somehow, we've landed in the worst possible situation. I think we've reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify, and the defence's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. But that's not true. In this situation, there is only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare a recess. Recess? I request that both the prosecution and the defence look further into this matter, and at tomorrow's trial... Tomorrow? No, 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 no. We don't have a tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honour. That's not necessary. The trial... Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you... It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true, but actually there is one little thing I'm curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually, when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. So my actions were unusual, but I've already... Before you speak, I want you to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honour, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know. The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Mr. Andrews, if you please. Okay, when I found the body... That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realised that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. Okay. I mean, he got a knife sticking out of his chest. So I'm not even reading that because I'm complaining about the fact he got a knife. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony? I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth. What the heck is going on in that brain of yours? Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Okay, there's no way she could have thought he was just tired. He got a big-ass knife sticking out of his chest. Then what did cross your mind? I thought maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix, and then felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. Anyways, that's what I thought. I see. So you didn't think he was dead at all? But there was a bit... Okay, so maybe we present the crime scene photo on that one. Yeah, there's a knife sticking out of his chest. You don't yeah, no. I'm not having it. So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body. What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honour? There is a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Corrida's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man. Well, you see, I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted and then so nonchalantly go and pour something to drink. Your point is, Miss Andrews, your testimony just now was all one giant lie. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly, that you are the real killer. Oh. It looks like the defence has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt on guard, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible. You're wrong. Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me, I tell you, it wasn't me. It was Matt, I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan. You were the one who refused to testify, and your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because... Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. Okay. Then there is no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matt on guard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt on guard. Your Honour, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. What? The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute, real truth. The absolute, real truth? What are you... Witness, don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt on guard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Franziska von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of others, because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then, right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt on guard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undoubtedly believes in those words right now and is clinging on to them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across something like this. Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get her not guilty. That's my only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you. Please believe me. I didn't kill one. Help. Someone help me. Okay. I'm going to leave it there for now. I've got to go to work shortly. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to go and see if we've got a... This is going on way longer than I thought it was going to. So we're going to go see if there's anyone to rate super quick so I can go and get ready for work. And then we'll be back tomorrow with a hopefully. Okay, we're going to raid Loy. Okay, so as always, thanks for watching, thanks for following, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye.